even in my artwork, it's easy to decenter yourself, right? Because you go from creating for yourself in a way that feels good and that heals you and that expresses yourself honestly, to creating things to bring people to you, to convince them to like you. When art is polarizing naturally, like everybody's not going to like your stuff, and that's not the goal, but YouTube will convince you that that is the goal. You know what I mean? Like these platforms, these algorithms will incentivize you to chase after what they think is valuable, not what you think is valuable. I want to start off this video with a deep breath because I'm nervous. So let's take a deep breath. Let's just breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth. Just. I'm going to do it again. And one more time. Happy winter. It is officially winter. I'm looking at my window and like the trees are bare. The sky is clear. Like everything is just really quiet. But I wanted to get on here to share some updates. But I first want to say thank you. Thank you. I am grateful. I am grateful to you for watching this video, for listening to my music, listening to my podcasts, watching my videos, sharing my music with other people, even liking my photos. All of the experiments that I do, all the creative experiments that I do, you all support it and appreciate it. And I'm very grateful for you. I don't take it for granted that like people are interested in me and interested in what I create. I think that is so dope. It is a dream that I've had for a long time to be a full-time artist. And at 34 years old, like right on the brink or the cusp of 35, I'm just now getting there. And it was a long journey. It wasn't easy, but it was also fun. There were some times that I questioned whether or not this was like legitimate, like if this could be done. I questioned if I was good enough, if I was talented enough, if I was interesting enough. And you all have reflected to me that I have always been enough. So for that, I want to say thank you. Happy New Year and thank you. I would not have got through this last year of creating without you. Like, I need you to understand how big of a deal you are. Like, I'm grateful for all the kind words that people share with me, but like my gratitude is like beyond words. It's beyond the ability to express, right? Like I'm grateful. I was chosen for a sabbatical by the Vacarians, Stephanie Perry and the Vacarians. Thank you so much to you all. Thank you so, so, so much. Because of this, I'm able to sabbat. I'm able to take a break. And in the beginning of my sabbatical, I was like, okay, I'm not going to do nothing. I'm not going to create nothing. Y'all not going to see me. However, about a month into it, I was like, I miss creating. Like I am an artist and creating to me is therapeutic. It is restful, right? What is not restful though is chasing algorithms. What's not restful is trying to be good enough for other people or trying to win other people's approval. Like that's not restful. But the act of creating for me, singing in itself, writing in itself, taking photos in itself, curating environments where people can share their stories. That stuff is not exhausting to me. It's fun and it's restorative, right? And so during the sabbatical, I'm going to do less of what I felt like I had to do to appease an algorithm or to make money, and instead doing what I want to do, creating from my heart, which is what I've always wanted to do in the first place. As a creative, it's stressful sometimes because you realize that you have to do some things that you don't necessarily want to do, right? In real life, I don't care about making money. In real life, I don't care about getting fans. In real life, I don't care about any of that stuff. I care about people, right? But I don't care enough to try to convince someone to like me or love me or to stay around. Like that's like, it's traumatizing to me because I had to do that in real life. And I don't want to bring that same attitude or burden to my artwork, And luckily, like I'm blessed enough to have fans or a supportive community. I don't even like the word fan, but I get it. Like I get it. Supporters who allow me to be a full human being I'm grateful that I have people supporting me who aren't demanding that I show up before my time, that I do more than what I feel called to do. People who see me as a human being. A lot of artists unfortunately get caged in because we see how people treat celebrities and things like that, right? People who are real people are dehumanized because we put them on these pedestals and we make them these little idols. We want them to be gods for us. We want them to be godlike. We want them to never fail us. We want them to never be human. You know, like I look at women in the industry specifically and how they have to show up. Like they have to look a certain way. They have to appeal to a certain kind of audience. They have to be a certain kind of sexy, right? To get money, to get visibility, which leads to them being supported. But I'm supported by people who really like me. You know what I mean? And that can be overwhelming because I feel responsible, right? Like I feel so responsible for what I say, what I create, what I put out there. But I also don't feel pressure from people to be someone that I'm not. But anyway, I'm grateful. Thank you for allowing me to be human. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for supporting me. As an independent artist, I do everything by myself or with the help of a few people. So Jamile mixes and masters my music for me when I record it in the studio. But for the most part, I'm writing my music. I'm making the album covers. I'm editing it. I'm recording it. I'm my own engineer, my own sound engineer. Like I'm doing all this stuff, right? Like I'm putting together the project itself. I'm putting together a marketing for the project. Like all these different pieces that work together is exhausting, right? Like all this stuff is important because it gets my art out there and gets it seen, but it's also laborious. And so I'm grateful to be supported by people who get it, that it takes time. I'm a one-woman machine for a lot of it, right? And people understand that. And one thing that I learned from last year is to not burn myself out anymore, because last year I put out three or four projects back to back. And what I learned from that is like my fans, my community is not demanding this kind of work from me. I'm putting that demand on myself. Like I was overworking myself. But now I want to move into my list of things to talk about that kind of talk about what we just talked about, but just go into greater detail. So first things first, number one on the agenda is Happy New Year. Happy New Year and thank you. Number two, I'm not ready to get back to YouTube yet. I don't know. I'm not ready to... Like it's wintertime, right? And so I'm a mammal. I'm a warm-blooded mammal, and most mammals go into hibernation during the winter. But in January, everybody's talking about like setting these goals and like, oh, you want to do this and this and this. I don't have none right now. I'm tired. You know what I mean? Like I realize that I have not, if we're following the seasons of our life, right? If we're following the seasons, fall comes and there's a harvest. You harvest what you've planted over the, the spring and the summer and what you've cultivated during that time. Harvest, you reap the reward, and winter, you rest. That's how it's supposed to be. When we lived off the land, that's how it was. You feel me? In a perfect sense, because we're not even gonna get into enslavement. That's a whole other conversation. But like, if we're really living with the land, we follow what Mother Nature is teaching us to do. And in winter, we're supposed to tuck away, to pull away for a little bit. And I think that because January 1st is like the beginning of the year, we run full speed into everything. Like, oh, I need to do all these things and I have all these wonderful goals for myself. But we really don't take into account that it's winter. It's winter. And for me, it feels so unnatural to move so quickly when there's little light, when it's cold as I don't know what outside, when I don't want to do nothing but sit around a fire and tell stories with my friends and my family and my loved ones, And so I'm going to lean into that this winter. Even though I'm posting this update, just to keep you all abreast and things like that, like, I don't know when I'm going to officially come back to YouTube or my podcast or whatever. And a big part of that is because of the pressure that I felt that I had to put on myself. If you're on YouTube, like I'm in a season of my life where I don't want to do all the fancy stuff. I don't have the fancy stuff. I want to create stuff that brings me joy and makes me happy and is restful for me. And so right now, all I have is this or podcasts. Or just like little notes. Like I don't have a whole thing. I just have little pieces and I'm following those little pieces as they lead me. So I'm not pressed to get back to YouTube yet. So I'm not. So I'm just going to show up on Patreon more often, I think, or my podcast more often. Places where I don't have to be seen. When you're making videos for YouTube, not that y'all are asking me this, like there's a lot of pressure to appear a certain way, to speak a certain way, to come across a certain way across camera, right? When really some of that is like a barrier for me or like a burden for me to have to show up well when I'm doing work that is so honest and imperfect. Like I realize humanity is a huge part of my mission and a value for me. And being human isn't perfect. Like it is imperfect, right? Like it is not perfect to be human. Nothing about humanity is ever really like altogether perfect. It's kind of messy. You know what I mean? Like we make mistakes. We're human, right? And if I want to be human in every aspect of my life, including the way that I create, then I have to make room for me to make mistakes, you know? And while I'm still working through my perfectionism, while I'm still working through people's expectations of me, and giving myself permission to not meet those expectations, I'm going to be tucking away or sharing as I want to. My last video that I put on my YouTube channel was titled something like, my life got better once I accepted falling behind in life. And I'm really putting that to test right now because that video blew up and people would tell you, oh, you need to ride on the wings of that video and like follow up with something more. But I didn't have anything more. And if I followed up with something more, it would have been inauthentic to me, right? Like it would have felt like a lie. I don't want to lie anymore. You know what I mean? Like, not that I was lying before, but I don't want to chase algorithms. That's actually in my notes. Let me go to the next one. Number three. I am not a content creator. I am an artist. I don't want to simply create content, but I want to create art. I want to create things that move people, that tell a story. I want to create slow content, things that make people slow down. And I understand that that's not the most popular thing to do. With the advent of TikTok, Instagram Reels, what is it called? Shorts on YouTube. Like it's all about short form content. It's all about keeping people's attention. People use like super like edits to like cut off the humanity of people, right? The or the pauses, right? I don't want to do that, right? And I understand that because I don't want to do that, that's going to lose a lot of people. And that's okay. In a lot of ways, I feel like I'm starting from scratch again. And not that I'm starting like from zero necessarily, but I'm starting with myself. I'm starting with my own humanity in mind and centered, and not other people's opinions or their desires of me. Like I need to start with me at the center. I have never been centered in my own life. Even in my artwork, it's easy to decenter yourself, right? Because you go from creating for yourself in a way that feels good and that heals you and that expresses yourself honestly, to creating things to bring people to you, to convince them to like you. When art is polarizing naturally, like everybody's not going to like your stuff, and that's not the goal, but YouTube will convince you that that is the goal. You know what I mean? Like these platforms, these algorithms will incentivize you to chase after what they think is valuable, not what you think is valuable. YouTube went from going, like, remember when the line was broadcast yourself on YouTube? You know what I mean? It was like broadcast yourself. Now it's more like, oh, do what is popular, do what is trending, and we'll give you something, views, money. Let me also tell you about the money thing. So right now, my how much I get paid for every thousands of views on my last video was $9. $9, right? And so for you, that might be like, oh, that might be a lot. That's not a lot of money. That's not a lot of money. So if I post a video and I make, let's say $10, let's round it up to make it a whole number. If I make $10 from every 1,000 views on YouTube, right? That means that if 50,000 people, I'm about to lose myself. If 50,000 people like my video, right, then I might get like $250 if I'm doing that math correctly. If I'm not, I'm probably not. Hold on. So wait, no. Let me go back. See, this is humanity, right? Okay, so $10 for every 1,000 views. So that means it's 5 times 10. Okay, so if I get 50,000, then is it 50? Am I tripping? 5 times 10 is 50. Okay, yes. Then it'd be $50. Anywho, either way, it's $9 for 1,000 views. I'm sure I got that math wrong because I'm overthinking it right now. But like, yeah, I only get 10 views. So like, the money is not the incentive for me to create, is my point, right? The money, the ad revenue, all that cute stuff, that's fine. I love it. I'll take it. It's pocket change though, right? And so I have to find a different way, a different incentive for me to create. And that incentive has always been my self-expression, my connection to other people. Like it's never really been about the money, even though I need to make it about the money because I need to eat and survive. And that's the battle I'm having. I have to play the game enough so that I get out there, right? But I don't want to play the game so much that I lose myself. And so I'm trying to find that balance. And I guess I'm only going to find that balance by doing it. There is no shortcut, you know? But I want to be supported for the art that I create, but I'm trying to find a way to be better supported where I don't have to rely on algorithms and robots made by white men, programmed by white men, and appeasing white men to get money on this platform, right? And especially because the stuff that I talk about is not necessarily popular. Like I feel like some stuff trends or goes goes viral in the way that my videos go viral. I've never had a video that goes like, oh, 1 million views, right? Like it's whatever. For me, it's viral. And virality is cool, but it's also anxiety inducing. Let me tell you why. So you get people that watch your video and then they expect that same kind of video every time you create. And when you don't create that, you're penalized because people start unsubscribing from you. I'm stuttering. People start unsubscribing. So then that makes you feel like, dang, what am I doing wrong? And the whole time, homegirl, you didn't do nothing wrong. It's just those people subscribe for that thing, but you're more than that thing. And I think that because we are so used to putting people in a box and niching people down, we don't really make room for their humanity. We're not really invested in them as a whole person, but we're invested in what they can do for us. And I think that's what YouTube has turned into. It went from broadcasting yourself to play the algorithm game, which is whatever. It's their platform. So in a way, we all have to kind of play a game, but like how much of myself do I want to compromise to play that game? You know what I mean? Okay. Let's see. So I'm not a content creator. I don't create things just to put in a thing. I don't create things to put in a jar. Like when we're talking about content, this is a cup, right? It's a container. This is YouTube. And so for this example, in this container is water. But low-key, you don't know what's in here. It could be anything. For YouTube, as long as this is filled up, they don't care, right? It doesn't matter. They don't care. For me, though, I do care. I actually care quite a lot. I almost care too much about what I create and what I share. I walk through the world careful because I know that I make an impact in it. What I say has impact on other people, and what I say also comes back to me. You feel me? And so I want to make sure that what I'm saying, what I'm putting out there is what I mean, is what I can stand behind. It's something I'm proud of. Like, I don't just want to create content, like filler content to go in a thing, to go in a container. I want when people drink from my container, right? My channel, my podcast, my music, whatever. I want them to feel something. I want them to be moved. Like, it's not necessarily, I'm selling you healing, right? Because I can't heal you. What I can do, though, is be honest and authentic. I'm not necessarily, healing you, but I'm giving you music to listen to while you contemplate your own healing. I'm giving you things to think about. You feel me? Or I'm just sharing my own healing journey. I am imperfect. And that is what I have built this channel around. And that's how I want it to stay. I'm an artist. I create art. And art is confusing to people. It is triggering to people. It is disgusting to people, right? Like, art is supposed to move you either way. And when people are unsubscribing, it's not a message to me saying, oh, Alecia, you've done the wrong thing. Actually, I'm doing the right thing, because if I'm being more of myself and people are leaving, people have the right to leave, by the way, even though it sucks and it hurts. If I'm doing the right thing by taking up space in the way that I want to take up space, the consequences of that action are going to happen, right? But what I'm not willing to compromise on is myself. People can leave. I can't leave me. You know what I mean? People can change their opinions about me. And maybe my opinions about myself change too. But like, people can decide today that they're going to leave me. They don't care. I don't want to abandon myself in whatever form that is, right? Maybe 5 years later, I'll have a completely different outlook, but I want to be fully, authentically myself right now. Not forget, I love Alecia of the future. I love Alecia of the past, but I am here. And who I am here is enough. It's beautiful. Like, we're always talking about improving ourselves or whatever, but have you taken the time to really like marvel at yourself right now today? With what you have done, with what you do have, with what you can't do also. Can you celebrate the things that you can't do? You know what I mean? Like, that's the work. It's easy to set goals for the future. It's easy to reminisce on the past or try to recreate what you did in the past. But what I really want to do is be present here and be open to whatever spirit is calling me to do here, now. Even if that means people leave, Okay. Number 4, I said, I'm tired of chasing algorithms and robots and I don't want to focus on growth. Okay. This is what I wrote down. I don't want to focus on growth, but connection. I want to go deep. And I understand that for some people, they don't come to YouTube to go deep, For myself, I don't necessarily always come to YouTube to go deep. Sometimes I want a distraction. Sometimes I want to laugh. Sometimes I want entertainment. Sometimes I do want to connect with people in a live stream chat. You know what I mean? People come to different platforms for different reasons. It doesn't mean that you're wrong, right? It just means that maybe people aren't coming to see what you've put out today. And that's okay. That's all right. Excuse me, I'm taking a sip of water. So for myself, sorry if you're getting a lot of mouth noises. I'm so sorry, but I'm human and I'm thirsty. But for myself, right? If I want to focus on connecting and going deeper, then I have to slow down. I have to make human-like content for the sake of words, right? Just as a shortcut to words. I know I'm an artist, I'm not a content creator, but yes, I am creating content whether they consider it art or not for this platform, you know? And in order for me to go deep, I have to slow down. Maybe that means doing less, showing up in a way that creates space as opposed to putting everything out there at the same time. As an artist, it can sometimes feel like, oh, I need to do everything right now. I need to put everything out there right now. And people are humans. People get overwhelmed too. You know what I mean? And I learned from putting out an album every month for like 3 or 4 months that like people need time to digest the art. If it's art, right? If you're calling yourself an artist, it might take time for people to understand it or feel it, or for it to like get into their bones. You know what I mean? Art takes time, and the world moves too quickly for artists. Everything is about a quick turnaround. Everything is about profit, right? And these machines, these platforms turn us into machines and make us overwork, make us create stuff that we're not really feeling, we're not really interested in, right? Because we feel like we owe the algorithm gods something. We have to sacrifice something so they don't forget us. And we feel like in order to be relevant, to be in the forefront of people's minds, we got to keep posting, even if what we post we don't necessarily believe in. You know what I mean? Like we're chasing down something as opposed to being in the moment and being an artist and creating from passion, from inspiration, from anger, right? From rage. And I don't want to turn myself into a robot. So I have to slow down. And that means less stuff for people sometimes, or doubling down on stuff, or like lingering. I love lingering and savoring things. You know what I mean? Like I've been looking back at my art and, I've been frustrated with myself because I didn't really celebrate myself for the art that I did create. I put it out there and I went on to the next thing, but I didn't market my art. I didn't linger around it. I didn't celebrate her. I just kind of moved on to the next thing. And I know what it feels like when I do a good job and somebody doesn't recognize me, you know? And I'm learning to look at my art as not like a thing that I create, but as a being, as a spiritual being, you know? Because what do people want? They want recognition. They want love. They want support. They want to be adored. They want their time in the sun, right? Like they want to be celebrated. My birthday's coming up, right? And every year on my birthday, I get anxiety because I feel like the day's not long enough. You know what I mean? And I feel bad because people email me and text me and I don't respond to it that day. I've learned to not respond to it that day. But like that day, my day became everybody else's day. It was so much pressure, right, to perform on my birthday, which doesn't make any sense. It's all in my head. But like, if I don't respond to people's text messages right away, if I don't call them back, right, like my day turns into something for someone else. I don't want that to happen to my art. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want my art to turn into something that brings me anxiety to do because I'm already thinking about how are people going to receive this on the other end? Because you know what I mean? Like, I'm already doubting myself. I'm already saying, oh, it's not enough, or this has to be for them. I'm learning that my art is for me too. My art is medicine for me too, right? Like I overworked my art. I overworked my voice, my craft, my writing. I overdid it because I felt like you need to produce for me. You have to produce for me. And I wasn't treating my art like a being, like a holy sacred being that I was supposed to nurture and care for, right? And nurture and care for. I was treating it like a slave. I was enslaving my gifts and therefore enslaving myself. You feel me? And like, I don't want to do that no more. And I'm apologizing to my gifts. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm really going back and starting from scratch with myself, like tearing out the foundation, because the foundation was capitalism at some point, right? At some point, the foundation was joy, pleasure, excitement, healing, honesty, connection to my ancestors, that kind of thing, self-expression, all that stuff, right? Then at some point, it started being crushed under the weight of capitalism. And that foundation cracked, and I had to remove the joyful foundation and put the foundation that people told me I should put there because it's more adult. You can't create for creation's sake and be taken seriously. You have to create for money. And if you don't make money, then people don't take you seriously. You know what I mean? And so then I started like, oh, let me sign up for these courses. Let me figure out how to market this stuff. Let me learn how to be a businesswoman. And I'm not a businesswoman. I'm a business kind of woman, right? But I'm joking. But I'm not a businesswoman. You feel me? Like I'm not. Like I'm not a business. Let me say this. I am not a businesswoman in the way that we are taught to be businesswomen. I'm not, because I don't care about none of that. I want to create art that tells the truth and moves people and helps them heal. And I also want to be supported by that. And I don't know how to marry those two things together right now. This year, though, that need was met by Black women with the Vacarian Sabbatical Fund. Shout out again to Stephanie Perry. Thank you so much. That support came in a way that I could not anticipate. I could not predict, right, or plan. And it really is showing me, just like, it's really confirmation. Go where the art leads you, because provision will find you. And it might not be found in the way that you can predict. And I know that's scary for a lot of people, but for me, that's exciting. Because I don't like boxes. I don't like the boardroom. I'm not a fan. I just don't care. You know what I mean? I care about being well. I care about people being taken care of. I care about people having their needs met. But beyond that, I don't necessarily need to be super, super rich and famous, right? Like, I want to make enough money so that I can care for myself, care for my loved ones, and create more art and take a nap. Like, that's really what I want. So I can be in nature, right? Like, so I can be with the people that I love. That's what I want to do. And so now that I know that that's my goal, then I can slow down. I can slow down a little bit. So I said, I want to go deep, and that's what's important to me. I love going deep. I hate surface level conversations. I don't like small talk. And it's not because I don't care. It's because small talk is usually just like filling empty space, right? People who are uncomfortable with silence, or people who are uncomfortable with going deep. I love going deep. When I meet somebody, I want to know everything about you. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, they don't have to tell me, but that's how I like to move. I lead with my heart first. I'm wide open. Things that we're taught to be ashamed of, I'm not. Like, it's just not there for some of this stuff. And I don't know what that's about. I don't know if I'm like socially awkward or whatever, but some stuff I just don't care about. You know what I mean? And also, shout out to the Deaf Studies program at Towson University. Learning about like the deaf community and other communities that are on the fringes, how sharing information is so important to them. So for example, in the hearing world, right, we don't tend to share how much we make. It's like taboo. We don't talk about it. It's like, we keep those things close to the chest. In the deaf community, they don't. They share everything. They share all the resources, how much they made, what their boss is like, what their job is like. They're also very blunt, very straightforward group of folk. And I think that we can learn a lot from marginalized communities, right? Marginalized communities share information because it benefits them to do so. We are taught to withhold information from our community by them people because it helps them to better control us and to better manipulate us, because the truth is not out there, right? What I realize about myself is that I'm a truth teller, and everybody's not going to be pleased. Not everybody going to like that. You know what I mean? And I want to go deep. Like, I want to feel the connection. I want to feel the soul of somebody. Like, I create from the soul of me, from the depths of the soul of me. There's nothing surface level about what I do. For the most part, I'm trying to think, like, maybe that's not true all the way, but like, for the most part, I love surface level. I love going deep. Whenever I'm surface level, though, it's usually me acclimating or masking to fit where I am. But no, I love deep secrets. I love juicy conversations. I love thinking about the future. I love hearing about your dreams that you're afraid to tell anybody about. I love all of it. I love humanity. There are some ugly things about humans, but there are also some beautiful things that we've been taught to be ashamed of about humanity. I don't want to do that no more. So I'm learning to listen to what my soul says it doesn't want to do too. I'm believing and honoring what my soul is saying no to. Like I said in a previous video, I've been learning to trust my boundaries and to respect my boundaries. When my spirit says no, I'm learning to listen to that and take heed, because there's a reason. And sometimes that reason, I don't know yet. I don't know why it's a no, but it's just a no. I feel uneasy about this. I don't feel settled in my soul about this. And that is enough reason for me to be like, no, not yet, or give me a minute. You feel me? And YouTube doesn't reward people for taking their time. Like, going back to my previous point, the world moves way too fast for artists. Artists are feeling, deep, sensitive people. You know what I mean? Like, they're the people who see the details and things that we miss. They're the people who can taste the subtle differences in foods that other people cannot taste, because they're slow enough to savor their food. You know what I mean? They're the ones who can hear a 3-part or a 4-part or a 5-part harmony, because like, they love music. They listen to feel, not just to consume, right? And what I'm trying to create is not just a snack to consume. I realize what I create often is a full meal. And everybody doesn't have the capacity or the time to sit down and enjoy it like that, because we're in such a rush all the time. But I want people to feel restored, like how you feel after a meal, after a full course meal, right? You feel full, you feel satisfied if it's good. You feel satisfied, you feel nourished. That's how I want people to feel walking away from my art. Whatever that means, I want them to feel something deeper than what they came in with, where the world celebrates, but also rewards. The world rewards us for shallow, surface level content. And so that can make me feel like, oh, well, this is stupid. Or I can trust what my soul is saying to me. And right now I'm walking by faith, okay? Because I don't see it. I don't see it, but I feel it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see where the end is going to take me. I don't see where following my soul is going to take me, but I know it feels good. It feels good right now. And if it feels good right now, then it should feel good, whatever the outcome is over there, whether that be a residency somewhere, whether that be a concert or like more rest, whatever that is. Like, I'm trusting my soul in the moment. I'm trusting that I am not dumb. I am trusting that I am wise. I am trusting my spirit and my soul, and I'm listening to her because I know how it feels to know something in your gut and not have the words for it or the proof, but you know what you're saying is true. Like, your intuition is speaking. But we've been taught to question our intuition so much and to listen to the facts from somebody else, which they're never facts, by the way, but to listen to someone else as authority when we are ourselves. How can anyone know more about ourselves than us? Maybe a parent, right? Maybe, I don't know. I don't have kids, but like, we know ourselves. We know like what works for us. We know when we say yes, we really meant no. You know what I mean? Or when we said no, we really meant yes. Or we know when we're shrinking. We know the things that other people cannot see. And it's hard to put logic and reasoning behind that in the way that people understand logic and reasoning, because everybody's looking for proof. I don't have proof that what I'm doing is going to make any sense. I don't know. I don't know what is going to come, what's going to come of what's going to become of this, right? But what I do know is that I feel good right now. And for right now, that's good enough. And it's not good. And it's good. It's a good thing. It's not me exploiting somebody or taking advantage of somebody or hurting somebody else, right? It's me listening to my soul, giving my body, my spirit, my soul what it needs, and also showing up in the world in a way that feels good to me. Something Jamal told me recently was like, because I told him I was struggling with retrusting myself. I burnt myself out so much that I have a problem trusting myself. I have a problem trusting myself because I've overworked myself. And myself, this sounds confusing, but myself doesn't trust me, and that's valid because I have not been kind to myself or my gift. You know what I mean? I've worn my gift out singing, just like, oh, I need to sing. I need to go to concerts. I need to work. When my voice was saying I'm tired and I don't want to sing, or I don't really connect with this event, or whatever. But I've also had amazing events. Shout out to my friend Deanna. She put on an event and she invited me to sing twice, and it was just lovely. And it was in the backyard. It was me singing. People were drinking tea, taking plant medicines. It was just such a beautiful experience. I was like, more of this. But somebody else, a professional, will tell me, no, you need to be trying to sell out arenas, and I don't want to do that. I want to connect. So saying yes to things that my soul says yes to, and seeing where it takes me, and what I learned from it. Sometimes I don't know the why until afterwards, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with mystery. I'm okay with not knowing. But society tells us that we have to know before we go. So, okay. So I wrote down, I said, I forgot to be an artist, not a content creator. Content creation in the world goes so fast for me. Because I'll put out a video that may have been 45 minutes long, and people are like, oh, well, when's the next video coming? Did you watch the whole thing? Did you sit with it? Did you answer the questions that were asked from your soul by listening to it? Did you do what you were inspired to do from that art? Have you finished with that art yet before you're asking artists for more art? You know what I'm saying? And that goes for me too. So it's not just you. Number 5, I realized that I have been sleeping on myself. I made beautiful music and never take time to celebrate and adore her. What is my art asking from me? That's a question that I've been sitting with, and I'm going to answer it for y'all in a second. But what has my art been asking from me? I'm in a season of rest and receiving. I'm in a harvest celebration. I am resting on the harvest that I brought in this fall, right? So I'm resting. Yes, I want to share more about my music and talk about her because like I have been making music for, at this point, since 2016. What is that? 8 years? Yeah, 8 years. I've been making music for 8 years. Going into 9 years, excuse me. But I've been making music for 8 years. And I haven't really given my art the chance it deserves, or the time in the sun it deserves, right? Because I've either been ashamed of it or I moved on to the next thing, chasing like my inspiration. It's not always hustle culture. Sometimes it's just inspiration. I'd be on fire. Oh, I need to make another song. And it's fine, right? But also give that art time in the sun. So I want to spend more time talking about my art and the story behind it, why I created it, what inspired the song. There have been so many themes in my music: healing from friendship breakups, healing from sexual assault, healing my depression, lots of real life things, falling in love, admiring the love of my grandparents, mourning people who have passed on. And there is the story missing. Like, y'all don't know that. You know what I mean? Like, y'all don't know that unless I told y'all. And so I want to give myself time to storytell. In the wintertime, we would all be sitting around the fire. Oh, hopefully you can hear me. Okay. We would all be sitting around the fire telling stories. You know what I mean? And in the wintertime, we're supposed to be slowing down and connecting with people. And I think I'm going to use this winter to connect in the way that I want to connect. You know? Okay. Next, because like I said, my art is a person. My art, I'm looking at my art, my creations as a person. What is my art asking from me? Let me go to this list I made. What is my art asking from me? To rest, to breathe, to trust in its own time and its own timeline. So that last video I made about being a late bloomer, right? We understand it when we talk about ourselves, but what about the things that we create? What about the art that we create, the content we create, the videos, the writing, the music? We need to understand that everything we put out in the world has its own timeline and its own life too, you know? So in that same way that I need time and support and belief and love and acceptance from people in my own life, I need to have that same attitude towards my art, because she also wants to be seen and adored, you know? Okay, so its own time and its own timeline, and it also wants its own time. My art is a seed. I planted in the soil by releasing it out into the world. How it germinates, how it blooms, right? When it does that, it's all in its own time. A long time ago, on YouTube, I posted a cover of Mr. Postman, right? I didn't think anybody was gonna watch it. I just made it because it was fun. And later on, it got hundreds of thousands of views. It was so random. It was just so random, right? But that was later after I posted it. It wasn't in the first month or the second month. I don't even think it was in the first year. By year 3, that thing blew up again. And it afforded me opportunities in the future that I could not have predicted, right? My art has its own timeline. Permission to be expressed authentically and honestly. Unconditional love, respect, support, no matter what, right? No matter what, no matter who doesn't listen to it, watches it, whatever, like no matter what happens to this, no matter how people treat my art, it still deserves love and support unconditionally. Just like people deserve love and support unconditionally, right? My art needs time. Stop rushing my art. Stop telling myself this. Stop rushing my art. It needs time, an unhurried pace, no pressure. It needs time. My art needs permission to be messy, imperfect, and human. Okay, so like I was saying, a lot of my brand is humanity. Whatever, like brand. A lot of my, what is the word I'm looking for? Give me 1 second. I'm gonna keep talking, but I'm gonna turn the heat down because it's hot in here. So hopefully you can still hear me. But a lot of the themes in my music and my art, my values, that's what I'm looking for. My value. One of my values is humanity, right? And if I value humanity, then I value all parts of humanity, even the parts that are imperfect, not fun, messy, whatever. And so, I need my art to know that she is safe being messy and imperfect and human. I need my art to know that it is that she is allowed to express herself in ways that may not make sense to everyday people, or every person, not everyday people, to every person. You know what I mean? Like, cause I am everyday people. Shout out to Sly and the Family Stone. Okay. So yes, so permission to be messy, imperfect, and human. My art gets to be imperfect and messy and human and still exist and still be loved and still be seen and celebrated. There are songs where I'm singing and I'm off key. What about it? There are songs that I'm singing and I'm a little flat, or I missed my cue or whatever it is. Like, that art gets to be too. That art gets to exist too. Just because somebody said it's not perfect, or because, like, what? I'm not perfect. Do I not get to exist because I'm not perfect? I have what people would call flaws. One of my hands is bigger than the other. You know what I'm saying? Like, one of my legs are longer than the other, like everybody's is. That is a part of being human. It's not a flaw. Like, I think that's the problem. We're labeling these things as flaws when really they're just human. And wouldn't you want to be human? Wouldn't that be a dream? Wouldn't that bring freedom? My art, what does my art want from me? Peace, peaceful and safe places, mindsets, and people. Before my art gets into the studio, it lives in my head. It lives in my heart, in my soul. Are these safe places? Do I tell my art, you get to exist, you get to be? Or do I tell my art, oh, you're not good enough and nobody can see you? As an idea, this is a dumb idea. Before it even gets to plant, am I telling my seed, am I cursing my seed? Before it even gets to see the light of day. You know what I mean? And I do that. I do not be kind to myself all the time. I'm a work in progress too. I am learning just like you are learning. You feel me? I don't have all the answers, but I'm trying. I'm trying to learn how to be a better home for my art and inspiration. Inspiration is a spirit, right? Inspiration knows my address. I can take my time with inspiration, but am I kind to inspiration? When inspiration comes to me with an idea, do I tell her, that's a great idea, let me think about it? Or that sounds scary, but it sounds dope? Or do I automatically tell her that she does not get to exist, that she is wrong, that she's stupid? Why would you pick me? Why would you choose me? That kind of thing. Okay. The next thing, my art needs me being kind to myself and my art. Because again, being kind to myself makes me be kind to my art. My art needs well-being. My art needs to be well on all sides. Financially, emotionally, spiritually, right? Humanely. I don't know if that's the word I want to use, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. Like, my art needs to feel safe. I need to feel safe. Safety is a feeling that I've been searching for so long, in my own life. And I imagine that my art wants to feel the same thing. My art wants to feel safe. Again, not being judged for being human, not being judged for making a mistake, not feeling wrong, for being off key or whatever, or for not being people's cup of tea. If I had a kid and somebody's kid didn't like my kid, am I going to stop liking my kid because your kid don't like my kid? No, that's your kid's problem. My kid is dope. And just how protective we would be over our own children, right? We should be that way with ourselves. Not just our art, ourselves. So what if somebody don't like you? As long as you're not hurting them. That's a different conversation. But if you're not hurting nobody and they just don't like you just because, their loss. Same with our art. You know what I mean? You're putting your art out there. Some people are not going to get it. Some people are going to spit on it. Some people are just going to poo-poo it and call it the worst thing in the world because they don't have eyes to see. They don't get it. It's not for them. Or it is for them and it's having the reaction it needs to have. That too. We'll talk about that later. But your art can trigger people. Are you going to stop creating it when it makes you feel good and make you feel communicated or makes you feel represented, because somebody don't like it? Are we living our lives for other people or for the truth, for connection, for all the things that you say you value? Connection, humanity, all those things. Expression, honesty, bravery, vulnerability. You know what I mean? Like humanity. Okay. She needs belief. My art needs belief. She needs for me to believe in her. My art also needs permission to find her own voice. My art, just like with myself, it took me time to find my own voice. In the same way, it's going to take your art time to find its voice too. You know what I mean? And that usually means that our art is growing and moving with us. You know what I'm saying? Like as we grow, as we mature, as we blossom and bloom, so does our art, so does our self-expression. Because as we bloom, we start to give ourselves permission to do things we may not have given ourselves permission to do before. Or we feel more confident in who we are. At 34 years old, I feel way more confident than I did when I started this at 26. I'm a completely different person in a lot of ways, right? My heart is still the same. My intentions are still the same. But my expression of myself is more confident because I know better who I am. When I think about it, at 26, what did I know? Like, let's be serious. At 26, what does a person really know? You've been an adult for maybe 8 years, maybe 4 of those years you were in college, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you really know? At 34, I know way more than I did before. Hold on one sec. Okay, sorry, y'all. I had to take care of some human things. My nose was running. But like, what was I saying? Yes, who I am today is a more expressive, confident, self-assured version of me than who I was at 2016. And that means that when I was 26, and that means that when I create, I'm more confident now and more self-assured and more expressive, right? And more thoughtful. And that might lose some people. You know what I mean? Like, and it sucks. I'm not going to pretend it doesn't suck. I'm not going to pretend that it doesn't hurt. Because even in real life, people not understanding me or getting me is also very painful. Like, you feel very unseen and unseen and unheard and misunderstood. And that happens sometimes with your art. And it's going to be okay. Because you're also, while you lose people, you're also going to gain people, or you're going to go deeper with the people who are already here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want you to forsake, and I don't want to forsake, who is here, who has been supportive in all my forms. Shout out to Miss Carla. This is a supporter that I've had. She was my very first patron on Patreon. Love her down, okay? She has been with me through all of my forms. When I was first starting and I was RVing, I was traveling, I was making music, I was making podcasts, visuals, photographs, postcards. Miss Carla has been there with me through everything. And those are the people that I want to journey with. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that people are less important if they haven't journeyed with you for a long time, or if they don't go with you with everything. That's not what I mean. Those people are important too. But like, I love that I have people in my corner who have been there with me through everything. But I didn't create anything. There are some people who are only here because I create something, right? Like, they're looking for something in exchange. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But at the same time, there are also those people who aren't looking for anything from me, people who just want to support me. And that is dope. And that comes with time. Even though Miss Carla was there at the very beginning, I have also come across other people like that in my own life, but that happened by me journeying through my creative journey. You know what I mean? Like, that happened with time and energy and effort, dedication, bravery, losing some things, having people drag you. Miss Carla has been there when people were dragging me. You know what I mean? Like, she's seen it all, and she's still here. And you know, when they talk about like self-esteem and all this other stuff, we don't just get our self-esteem from ourselves, right? Our self-esteem is inspired and reflected back to us by our community. I'm happy that I have people reflecting back to me that I am lovable, that I am not abandonable. That's not a word, but like, you feel me? Like, I am worthy of being supported. I am worthy of being seen in whatever way that I can see and support you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so appreciative of people like that. Like, and I'm grateful that has come not by marketing or trying to be somebody that I'm not, but by being myself. Imagine. And so as an artist, I realized, I might not ever be as rich and famous as your favorite artist, right? I may never be that, but I can be content. I can be supported. I can be seen, and I can feel good because what I'm creating is honest and it's authentically me. And at the end of the day, I got to sleep with myself. You feel me? Like, and I love that I'm literally, my dream of making a living by being myself is coming true because of my community, because of my supporters, because of people being kind to me, you know? Okay. So I have a long list of things that my art needs from me. Maybe I'll make it a podcast episode for Black Girl Creative. Look out for that. That'll come. But like, really asking myself, like, what does my art need from me? Only because like, I have a lot to talk to you about and I don't want to keep you here long, but my art deserves time and permission to find her own voice, to figure out what she wants to say and how she wants to express herself. And that means not putting a boundary or a limit on how I express myself. Like, maybe today I want to do a podcast. Maybe tomorrow I'll do a video. Maybe on Thursday I'll write a song, right? As a multi-passionate creative, it can be very frustrating because they want you to pick a niche. They want you to be a thing. People want to be able to put you in their pocket and be like, you go here. This is your container, right? And it's hard being multi-passionate because you don't fit a container and you don't make sense to a lot of people. And people not everybody will watch all your things or all your forms of art, right? And not everybody will follow you wherever you go, but like, I gotta follow me where I go. You feel me? Okay, yeah, so I'll come back to this list because I want to write more things too, and I'll make it a podcast episode. But next, yes, number 6, I want to get weird. I want to go deep. I want to be my full, obsessed, passionate self. So like I talked about earlier, I want to go back over my songs and do a series called Soundtrack to Healing, which I did start last year, where I go through every one of my songs or most of my songs and talk about the story behind them. So again, there are a lot of themes like I wrote a song about George Floyd. Going back. I wrote a song about Black Lives Matter, the Black Lives Matter movement. I wrote a song about heartbreak, of course. I wrote a song about friendship breakups, all this stuff, right? And I want to tell the story behind that. And I also want to tell my story about why I fell in love with music, photography, and writing in the first place, to remind myself why I started that, to bring myself back to center. Stop chasing all that out here. Remember why you started this in the first place, you know? I want to share my meditation and my thoughts. Some stuff is not a song. Some stuff is not a video. Some stuff is just a thought. It could be a line. Maybe I'll write it and put it on Instagram, or like write it and share it with you in video form or in podcast form. Going deeper, being weird. I want to take my time and let the journey take the time and shape it needs to take. So again, not putting a limit on it. I'm grateful for this sabbatical because I'm able to experiment in ways that I couldn't experiment before. Because when you are poor, okay, I'm joking, but it's not funny, okay? When you are poor, everything is life and death. Everything is about survival. Everything. Every decision you make is life and death. Like, do I buy this course that could possibly make me a better musician? Or do I just keep making music, right? Like with what I already have. Do I go to the school for music, or do I like everything is life and death when you're poor? Do I put out the song? Do I follow my creative career? Do I get a, using air quote, real job? And y'all already know how I feel about that. Stop saying that to artists. That's disrespectful and mean, because what they're doing is real and it is a job. Okay. But like, yeah, I think a lot of my time had been spent in the past trying to chase enoughness, where I am now sitting in my enoughness and like, okay, let's see what happens when we really believe in ourselves, you know? So yeah. Number 7, I have anthology projects. Okay, let's go to this. The book Anthology. I'm still doing it, right? But I put way too much pressure and the timeline was way too short. I did too much and I did too much for you too. So I'm still doing the anthology book. This is the book where I'm asking Black women to share advice that they needed maybe 10 or 15 years ago, share advice that changed their life, that somebody gave to them, something they learned, something, right? And this whole thing started because of my Auntie Jackie saying in passing in a conversation we were having in Philly. She was like, I wish that I had a book of all the wisdom from all the women in my life, so that we could know what we're doing, know what to do. And she was talking in terms of like getting older, right, and aging, and how there's not a book left behind by people she looked up to as her elders, right, to show her how to age well or what to do, like what's next, right? The people that they looked up to, i.e. my grandmother, my great-grandmother, my great aunt, they have all passed on. And with them left some wisdom, and even though they didn't sit down in a circle and tell us this is the ways that we do things, there are still things that we have taken from them, even if they never sat down and told us. And so I do want to clarify that we have way more ancestral wisdom within us than we probably recognize and understand. Stuff we just do that we don't think about. You know what I mean? Habits we've picked up from our family. So they're always with us. But also there are a lot of people who feel like they haven't gotten the leadership, the guidance, what is the word I'm looking for? The mentorship. They haven't gotten the mentorship that they needed from other Black women. And I want to put this book together so that Black women can have a book where they can look for advice or a pick-me-up or like a hug from a big sister from across the pond or down the street. You feel me? Black women are a wealth of wisdom. And I really do want to put this book together, but I'm going to give myself more time. So instead of the deadline being December 31st, which has already passed, by the way, I'm going to make the deadline March 31st or 30th. I don't know what the last day of March is, but give people time, March or April. Give people time to really sit with their wisdom, sit with the prompts, think about it, ask other prompts, other questions that might be able to better, help them answer those questions. Give Black women time. We need time. There's been a lot, with the election and all this other stuff. And it's just been a lot for Black women within the last 4 years, and Black women need time. So I'm just going to give Black women time. So yes. So talking about feeling behind in life, right? I am behind, and that's okay. But like, the world didn't end. It didn't explode. Maybe people did judge me and call me, there have been a few people who came for me over the years in the comment section about what I haven't done. Those are not my people. So I ask for forgiveness. I ask for grace also. And I ask that you look at me as a human. Life be lifing. Over the past couple of months over the winter, I've been caretaking. I've been doing a lot of things. You feel me? And so life happens, and I have to give myself grace. And if I'm around people who don't give me grace for being human, they're not my people. And that's okay. It's okay. So I'm giving myself time, spring, because in the spring, I feel energized. Again, it's winter. It is winter. It is a time that we reflect, the time that we go in. It is not the time for doing and making for me. For some people, they feel energized in January. I feel energized when that fresh snow, when the green breaks that snow, when the sun starts shining, the blossoms are on the trees. That's when I feel energized and alive in the spring. I realize nature is wise. Nature is my mother, and nature tells me when to rest and when to sit down and be quiet, when to do. You know what I mean? And I'm starting to listen to nature. You know what? You're right. Let me chill. It's winter. Let me chill. It's cold. Number 8. I'm starting a new series called Things That Make Life Worth Living, or What Makes Life Worth Living. This is inspired from my depression and suicidal ideation. Sometimes I need a reason to keep living. That's it. Sometimes I just need a reason to keep going. And I realized, so I have a journal for it. This is my journal for reasons to live. This started in a conversation with Jamile about, y'all remember that show, 1,000 Ways to Die? Or something like that. That show gave me great anxiety as a kid. Death is so sacred to me, and it's also very scary because nobody knows when it's their time. But hearing about the awful ways in which people can die traumatized me. So there have been there's intrusive thoughts that come in all the time that I think about. I think about falling into a vat of dry ice. Why am I thinking that's probably never going to happen? But that's a fear that I have, right? It really has the anxiety, the obsessive thoughts, right? And so about things that'll probably never happen. Me swimming in a pool, I have a fear. I'm going to call it unrealistic. I'm going to call it unrealistic fear of a shark swimming up to me in the pool while I'm swimming laps. What? Or me, just random stuff, right? So going back in this conversation with Jamile, he said to me, but there's also 1,000 ways to live. And I was like, yo, that is so dope. And that actually inspired the first episode, which is going to be called 1,000 Ways to Live. And I'm really excited. I'm so excited about it. But either way, this is a project that really means a lot to me and my mental health and my well-being. And for those who struggle with depression and suicidal ideation, i.e. not wanting to be here anymore, those who get it, get it. You know what I mean? It's not every day we're looking at the window oh, I'm not going to be here no more. But sometimes it can feel what is the point? And this exercise, this question, what makes life worth living, has helped me to slow down and practice gratitude in a way that I didn't practice gratitude before. So another episode I'm doing is about Philadelphia. So my family's from Philly. And in Center City, they had this portal that you can see around the world. And people were looking at each other from different places in the world through this portal and waving at each other. And for me, that was humanity at its best. And that was enough to keep living that day. It's that small, right? It's wow, humans waving at each other. What a simple concept, but how beautiful, how excited were humans excited to see other humans across the world, right? Stuff like that. So I'm energized about this project. This is helping me slow down. This also goes along with the whole slowing my soul down. So that project I'm really excited about. Can't wait to share that with you all. Yeah, it's really about gratitude and hope. That's what it's about. And I'm also excited about my other project, Beautiful Conversations with Beautiful People, where I invite people on and ask them questions that I find beautiful and just let them answer. And I love it because it's artwork and that it's creating a portrait of somebody. It's not just about the work that they do. It's not just about the movements they're making, which we'll talk about that too, but it's also about their humanity and how that's absolutely beautiful and how that's absolutely enough, you know? Yes, number 9. Actually, number 10. I'm just go to number 10 because it's beautiful conversations with beautiful people. So I said, there's also going to be a photo project with this in the spring. Lord willing, that's what's going to happen. I'm excited where I get to take pictures of beautiful people in parks and stuff like that and ask them questions. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I don't know what the container is going to look like. I don't know yet. And I think that's okay to not know. I just had the instructions and the directions that I need to do. Take pictures, ask people questions. That's it. What comes of this? I keep saying, what becomes of this project? Only the project knows, only spirit knows. That's not my business. What is my business is just showing up and doing what spirit is asking me to do. That's it. So I'm excited about that. Yes. So I said, this is a personal project for no other reason than my joy. I don't have a marketing. I don't know how this is going to make money. If it is, I don't know. I'm not concerned with that right now. What I am concerned with is my joy. And during the sabbatical, I forgot to say this in the first place. During the sabbatical this year, my joy is going to be the focus. My happiness, my joy, my rest, my well-being. So I'm doing more things for the joy of it, not for the accolades or because I think it's going to be popular or interesting or people are going to like it or I'm going to get a lot of views or money. It's not about that. It's really just about my joy and my happiness. I love that for me because I've never had a time where I could just focus solely on my joy. You know, it's always about something else. Again, being poor kind of robs you of the opportunity of focusing on anything but survival, you know? So yes. I said, I'm giving myself permission to try on my dreams when I have the energy to do so. I'm going to stop trying to make sense. I'm an artist. I'm not supposed to make sense and I don't have to make sense. I kind of don't have to. And there's a freedom there. Yes. So number 9, going back, I'm trusting ideas that bring me joy. Doing things that are a 10 out of 10 for me, not my audience. I love y'all, but this is for me first. If y'all like it, great. But firstly, it's for me. You know, like I really forgot that my medicine was for me, that my music was for me. My writing was for me too. My singing, my joy, like my creativity was for me first. It's for me first. It is communion with spirit. It's communion with myself, with my ancestors. And then whatever I create from that, I share with the world. Where I've been doing it backwards. Oh, what is my audience going to like? No, that's not how I want to create things anymore. Not that I was doing that all the time, but it was a heavy consideration. And what I really want to do is focus on my joy, listening to my intuition, doing what spirit asks me to do next, and then seeing what becomes of that, and then going forward and seeing how being like following the one step at a time method, going slow, going deep, being real, being honest, see where that takes me. I don't have no plans for the year. I don't. I don't have no resolutions except to bring myself joy. And that is it. That is my only resolution. And that is a revolutionary thing for me to focus solely on my joy. So I'm really excited about that. Again, so grateful to my patrons, my people who supported me on my memberships, random people who send me random cash apps on Cash App. Thank you. Or on my Ko-Fi, Ko-Fi. Thank y'all. PayPal. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for buying my music, my books, my merch. Thank y'all so much. I'm trying to make sure that I don't forget anybody. That's why I keep going back to this because I don't want anybody ever thinking that I'm not grateful for them. I am one person, so it's hard for me to respond to everything, but please understand that I see you and I'm so grateful for you. I see your comments. I might not be able to respond to every single one of them because again, it is just me. It is just me and I get overwhelmed. And in order to keep creating art, I can't burn myself out in that way. But I am so appreciative of you. Like there are no words to express my gratitude. There aren't, except thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you a million times over. Thank you. Bless you. I hope that everything, sorry, I'm touching mic, but I hope that everything that you've done for anybody, not just me, comes back to you a millionfold. And I mean that sincerely. Thank you so much. You all have changed my life. You all have changed my life. Like you all are allowing me to create art that I want to create, that I wanted to create 5 years ago, but I didn't have the money to do it. I didn't have the time, you know, the energy, the resources. This is changing my life already. And I'm grateful, so grateful to you. So yes, I'm experimenting and trusting and leaning fully into the joy. I'm learning to trust my intuition again. Go back to that. Not pushing through or trying to force something, listening and following my intuition. Yes. Okay. So what I wrote down, I said, I want to resonate 100% with my people, with the people who get it. And maybe 100 is like ambitious, whatever. But like, ideally, I would love to be able to resonate with 100% of the people who get it, right? Not just 20% of everybody. You know what I mean? Like, and I heard that in a video that I was watching, but it's true. I don't want to resonate with 20% of everybody trying to appeal to everybody. I want to go deep, 100%, or however, whatever percentage I'm okay with, right? With those who get it, those who I don't have to convince. It's so exhausting trying to convince people that you're worthy to listen to and that your perspective is valid. You know what I mean? Like, as an artist, we spend so much of our time trying to convince people to like us and like our stuff and believe us, when really that energy should be spent making our art. Like, let the art speak for itself. Let the art bring the people it's supposed to bring. You feel me? Stop spinning your wheels and your precious, sacred energy trying to convince people who don't want to like you. Stop it. Coming from a healing perfectionist. Why was I a perfectionist? Because I couldn't fail. Because if I failed, that meant that people would hate me. People pleaser. Why did I people please? To survive, to get my needs met, right? Coming from a recovering those things, it's fruitless. Even if you get what you think that you really, really want, it's going to be empty. It's going to be empty because it's not really what you want. You want to be seen. You want to be understood. You want to be perceived by the people who think well of you, right? You don't want to spend your days and your years, your life, chasing after the affections of people who don't get you. Because in order for them to get you, there's going to have to be some compromise. Either they compromise and understand you, which rarely happens, or you compromise and give up parts of yourself to be able to be accepted by those people. I don't want you to cut off parts of yourself, and I don't want to cut off parts of myself. And that means that it might be slower for me to grow. I'm not focused on growth. I'm focused on connection. I'm not focused on growing my platforms. I'm focused on healing myself and connecting with people who get it. I'm focused on honesty, bravery, building trust, right? Building trust with people. Hopefully they can see that I am a trustworthy person because I'm honest. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I misspeak. I say the wrong thing. I don't know everything, but I'm a curious person. And I hope that can be honored by people in my community, you know? So yeah, I just want to be all of myself. I want to start with myself. I want to start by creating for myself, right? And whoever likes it after that, wonderful. Come along with me. You know what I mean? Like, let's connect. But I'm not going to start with them in mind. I'm going to start with myself in mind. Like, this is me learning how to center myself. This is me learning how to listen to my intuition, learning how to prioritize myself above everything else that I've been taught to prioritize. It's work. It's hard. It's scary. But by golly, we doing it. You feel me? We doing it. And I'm proud. Okay. Number 11, do things using the method that best works for you. Okay. So this came from a conversation with Jamile. This is me learning how to trust myself again. I said, I'm scared because when I went all in last time, I burned myself out. Right. And much like, you know, if we touch a hot stove, we don't want to go back to that stove. You know what I mean? Like, because it burns, it hurts. I was afraid to go back to myself because I was afraid that I would burn myself out again. I was afraid that I'd be a bad boss to myself again, a bad friend, a bad sister, a bad person to myself. I was afraid that I was going to enslave myself. And one thing Jamal told me that really resonated with me, and thank you, Jamal, for this, but he said, but you're not that same person you were before, right? And all in means something different now than it did before. Before all in, I was willing to go all in no matter what it cost me, my health, my time, my resources, time with my loved ones. It didn't matter. I was willing to chase it no matter what. Okay. We talk a lot about Black excellence, and people think that I'm talking from a place of theory. People think that I don't know what I'm talking about. Oh, you're just a failure. You're just mad because you couldn't reach Black excellence. Let me tell you something. I've had it. I've had Black excellence. I'm speaking from experience with chasing, holding on to, qualifying for Black excellence, that category of Black excellence. I've had it. I've done the things. I've been excellent. And it wasn't worthwhile. It was exhausting. It was traumatizing to me. It was deeply harmful. Like, I'm still healing from years of being excellently Black, right? Like, and I've had it. I don't want it. I don't want what it costs. I'm not interested. I also don't believe in it. I don't believe in it. And I'm tired of people making me be a real grown up and believe in stuff that I don't believe in. I don't believe in Black excellence. I don't believe in meritocracy. I don't believe in pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps. It doesn't exist. It's a plan put together by liars to make us feel like we're not good enough because we're failures, because we're poor. No, those people got rich by exploiting people. I'm not willing to do that. Those people got excellent by stabbing other people in the back. I'm not willing to do that. You feel me? And like, I think I'm okay with that because I'm good. I got my peace of mind. I'm not running from nobody. There's this joke. Anyway, my best friend Marcus, whenever he talks about running, there's a scripture in the Bible that basically says only those who are basically those who are guilty or evil run for no reason. It's a joke. It's so funny. But for real, like, I don't want to run because I have to, if I start off by running, if I create the culture of running, I have to keep running to keep up that pace. And I feel like what we're seeing is a lot of evil people, by the way, but also people who are caught up in just running, not really taking into account like what damage they're doing to themselves or other people, right? When you run, there's damage that you're doing to your body over a long period of time if you're not careful. Shin splints, you can hurt your hips, your knees, your ankles, right? Like your feet, like there's damage being done to your body. Your spine is compacting over and over again. That does damage to your body, right? Over time. Moving slowly, there's less mistakes, right? You're able to pick up and fix things easier. You're able, like, going slow is the fix. And going slow is love. And it's being loving to myself, but also loving to other people that I am in community with. I'm not going to burn myself out for those people. I'm not going to be Black excellence against for those people. And if they want to say to Hades with me, then so be it. You feel me? Like, those not my people anyway. My hope, though, is that one day they would free themselves from that slavery, right? That's my hope. But I'm not going to stay here and play pretend and appeal to people who can't even see that they're chained and enslaved themselves. And that's no diss, because in a lot of ways we all are, and we're all unraveling, right, from this patriarchy, from capitalism, all that stuff. You feel me? And I know that I look like the weirdo. I know I look like the whatever, but I've always been the weirdo. I've always been made fun of. I've always been the odd man out. I've always been the weird person. And I love that about me now. Before I hated it because it made me prey. It made me easy prey for people. But now that I'm older and wiser, like, I love that about me. And it is not my fault or my shame that people take advantage of me because I'm kind. I'm not gullible. They're just mean. I'm not naive. They're mean. You feel me? Like, all this pressure, all this blame that we put on ourselves for being good people is not healthy, because it absolves the bad people of their bad behavior. Like, so anyway, so Jamal, let that nugget, like, all in means something different to you. And you have to trust that you're wiser now. Healing from burnout is so hard because you realize you're the person who did the harm. So you not only have to heal from exhaustion, but what do you do when the enslaver is your own being? What do you do? How do you heal that? You know what I mean? That's hard. So relearning to trust myself, trusting that I am a different person, trusting that even if I did bad things to myself, it's not because I'm a bad person. It's because I was trying to survive, right? And then also understanding that my gifts and spirit may need time to rebuild that relationship with me again, to build that trust again. And that starts with little baby steps, right? Trusting that I'm a different person, moving differently, moving slowly, trusting, giving my art what it needs, that kind of thing. So I'm learning to trust myself again because I'm in a season of receiving from other people, yes, but also from myself. I'm looking back on old journals that I've had, that I've been writing for years. There's wisdom in those journals. And then I want to come up and share them with you. Things that I've written maybe 2 years ago, that let sit for a little bit and I have a different perspective, like that stuff, like not moving on too fast to the next thing, because that's what capitalism and overconsumption teaches us, to consume and move on, consume and move. We're gluttonous. We're like empty vessels looking for something real, So yes. So Jamal told me, you're wiser now. And I am. I'm wiser because I went there. The beautiful thing about hitting rock bottom is that, as the cliche goes, there's nowhere to go but up. But also, like, that's the worst thing that could happen. Me chasing enoughness brought me to the worst possible conclusion, the worst possible place. And now that I've been there and I see that it's not worth it, now I get to rebuild with me at the center now. Not me trying to prove that I'm enough or that I'm worthy to be listened to or that I'm a real artist. You know what I mean? None of that. I'm coming from a place of confidence and contentment and joy, not from a place of fear, you know? I'll make a different video on this, but I'll share this here. A lot of us move from a place of fear, not from a place of joy. And the difference is when you're moving from fear, it's like you're running away from something, right? It doesn't matter which way you run, you're just running. Like when you're running from fear, you're running away from that thing. You're not running to anything. You're running to perceived safety. But who's to say that in all that adrenaline and that fear that you run straight into the arms of something else you need to fear too, right? Like it's not enough just to run from fear. And as somebody who struggled with poverty, I get it, right? You don't really have, you can't, oh, where am I going? You don't know, just away from here. But when you have some clarity and time, when you have the privilege of having clarity and time, you can now choose to move from a place of joy. Instead of me running away from fear, I can run towards joy. I can run towards something beautiful, something healing, something true, something pleasant, something honest, something that benefits me in a way that's just not preserving my life, but making my life worth living, you know? And so I want to start moving from joy, I want to start being inspired by joy instead of running from fear. I want to draw towards joy, not run away from what I'm afraid of. Because like I said, running from fear, the foundation is already wrong, right? Like that's for survival. That's fight or flight. That's not for long-term living. Fight or flight is for survival. You use that stuff, you shake it off literally, and you move on, right? But what we're taught to do is to constantly be in survival mode because a lot of us are constantly in survival mode because of capitalism and greed and all this other stuff. So I'm not knocking that. But I'm also saying that a lot of us, we also fear rejection. We also fear displacement, as in like being removed from our community. We fear, or removed from our safe places. We fear people talking about us. We fear being misunderstood. We've like these things that are legit and valid, but like they're not a threat on our lives in real life unless they are. There's nuance here, obviously. Like you're smart. You know where I'm trying to go. I'm not going to like baby you in this conversation. You know what I'm trying to say. Like I think that there are times where we do need to run from fear, but that's not supposed to be used in our everyday life. I want to move from that place of fear and move towards joy, meaning have joyful goals, not goals like I want to lose 30 pounds because I don't want to be overweight, right? Like, or I want to do this. I want to be this kind of singer. I want to make this amount of money. Then I could be a legit artist. Instead of that, my goal is I want to make this music because it feels so good to make. You know, I want to do this project because it brings me joy and it brings life and vitality to my body and my soul to create this project. I want to give this person this thing because I want to see them smile versus I want to give them a gift, a present because I don't want them to hate me. You feel the difference? Like the difference is, oh, my life is in danger of living. If I don't do this, I'm going to die, a social death, whatever, financial death versus like, oh no, like I really want them to be happy about what I bought them. There's no pressure on you, right? Like it's just like their joy is centered. The joy of experiencing their joy is centered versus like, oh, I'm going to die. That's how I want to move. And I think that's the wisdom. That's the change that's happening in my mind. It's like, I am afraid. Don't get me wrong. I'm afraid, I'm nervous, but I'm also excited. And I'm also beginning to listen to my soul. And when I do things that make my soul happy, I have a history now because years have passed. I am rewarded by pursuing things that make my soul happy. That is also wisdom. And it might not be millions of dollars. It might not be millions of followers, but it is contentment. It is expression. It is connection with other people. I put out a book a long time ago and I was in the studio. It was called His Image Manipulated. And this is like a venting book and I didn't really expect anybody to read it. It was just more for myself, but it brought me joy to create. And I went to the studio one time because I was going to do like this piece. I was like a featured artist at the studio. And I was going to talk about my art journey and sing a song. And this random woman came up to me in the sound room and was like, hey, You wrote that book? That book changed my life. Girl, what? What? A book that I wrote about my heartbreak and how men have failed me and have manipulated my image of myself, right? Like, helped you? Changed your life? I could not have predicted that, but my soul knew. My soul knew what to do. My spirit knew what to do. It knows what I cannot see. It sees what I cannot see. And I have to trust that spirit. You know what I mean? So thank you, Jamal, for that. Doing things using the method that works best for you. That's another thing he was saying. You don't have to do everything like everybody else does it. You don't. And this is something that I've also said. You don't have to do it like everybody else. You don't. There's a pressure to feel like you have to because it's the most popular thing to do. But you get to do things your way. People might not get it. You might not get a lot of views because it's not what's popular right now. But what trends changes based on the year. But people who stay true to themselves, though, they last throughout that time. No matter what the trends are, no matter what's going up and down, they're consistent. And it might not be that they have a lot of growth, but the people who get them, get them. You feel me? Okay. Do things in a way that feel good to you. So I keep coming back to this because I'm not really saying what I want to say. I have done things in the past to make it easier for other people to get or understand. I have done things in the way that I feel like I had to do them, but not in the way that I actually wanted to do them. And so I'm going to give myself permission to do things in the method that works best for you. Sometimes I don't have a video in me. Sometimes I only got a podcast. Sometimes I only have writing, a blog. Sometimes I only have 2 lines. Sometimes I only have a song, right? That's the thing about being multi-passionate. The medicine is there. The magic is there. How it chooses to express itself, though, changes, right? The medicine kind of sometimes feels the same or different, but like the way that it wants to express itself changes. It's not that the message changes, but the expression does. And in order for me to be a good artist, I have to have good energy. And sometimes I put barriers in my own way to make my art more complicated when it don't have to be all that. Because I thought that complication meant good. Complication meant sophisticated. When really complication just meant more energy, more time wasted, invested, more frustration, and more barriers for entry. Not just for myself, but for other people. Not only am I stopping myself from creating and putting stuff out there, but I'm stopping people from getting the stuff that they want to get. You know what I mean? So anyway, this is going on long. Sorry, y'all. But we're down to our last number. But do things in the method that works best for you, best for me. That is the wisdom. That is what I learned. Do things using the best method. Okay, let me say this again. Do things using the best method that works best for you. That's valid. That counts. Okay, number 12. Going in, like inward, I'm going in, listening to myself and being quiet and resting. I am on sabbatical. I can do what I want to do, when I want to do, how I want to do it. I don't just have to do what I need to do to survive. And with your help, I've been able to chill and rest. During my sabbatical, like I said, my focus is joy, but I'm also healing my relationship with music, listening to music, singing along with it, playing it for fun. I don't know if you can see, that's my guitar in the corner over there. I'm going to do more guitar playing and singing. Like, the reason why I got a guitar was not to become a good guitarist. You know what I mean? That wasn't the point. The point was to have accompaniment when I sung. And I think that we pick up new things often with the hope that we become like these, like, oh, I'm gonna become a guitarist, I'm gonna be really, really good. And it's like, no, it's for my joy too. Playing guitar brings me joy. I also have very small hands. So being a good guitarist might not be in the cards for me. Maybe ukulele player, but like it's not giving. And it's okay that it's not giving. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a failure to me. It's like, oh no, like the guitar is here not to make money, not to make profit, but because it brings me joy to play and to sing along. And so I want to do more of that. I'm going to share more of that on my Patreon, me just singing, me harmonizing with music, because I love harmonizing. I love harmony. It's medicinal for me, and I'll talk more about that later. But yeah, doing more of those things that bring me joy and sharing that joy with you all. I want to make art that helps me and others slow down. So a video like this it's over an hour long at this point, right? A lot of people will probably click off and be like, that's enough. And that's okay. That's okay. I want to make longer form things because my stuff is a meal and I don't want to have to rush through what I'm saying. I don't have no pithy, nothing. Okay. I meander, I linger, I savor things, I geek out about stuff. Y'all don't even know the depth of my geeking out. Yesterday I was in a group chat and I was telling them, we were talking about drinking, right? Whatever. We were talking about drinking. It doesn't matter the context. And so we were talking about like throwing up and how when people drink too much, they throw up. I was like, how amazing is it that we live in a body that saves us from our own self-destruction? How amazing is it that our body overrides ourself to save ourselves from death, from poison? How amazing is that, right? Throwing up is not fun, by the way. I'm not saying it's fun, but like, it's amazing to me. That's how geeky in depth I want to get. That's who I am. That's who I am at the core. And I felt like on these platforms, I had to chop myself in half or present myself in a certain way because people don't get it. People don't want to go the long way with you, and it takes people time to trust you to go the long way with you. And so people see like, oh, this video is an hour long. I'm not watching that. And that's fine. Because I do the same thing. I'll put it in my watch later if I really want to watch it and wait till I can sit down and savor it, right? But I know because I'm going slower, that means less people might watch it and less people might get it. But that doesn't mean that I shouldn't do it, And when I do the short things, the pithy things, it'll be there for them. Everything ain't for everybody, but that don't mean it ain't for me. Everything ain't for everybody, but that don't mean that I shouldn't create. Everything ain't for everybody, and that doesn't mean anything to me. Is it for me? Okay, cool. Like, that's the approach I'm taking now. Is it for me? So yes. Yeah. So playground, looking at a word, Patreon is my playground and safe place and space. So this video might go on YouTube, just to give people like an insight, like, hey, what's Alicia doing? What's going on? It's been a month and a half. But for the most part, I plan on being on Patreon until I feel okay to post online, wherever that is. If I put like sorry, y'all, I got a burp. Gas has to escape my body somehow. But, yeah, but like I have these ideas and these things that I want to do that might take longer time to put together. But the date that I'm looking forward to showing up is spring, officially. I might post stuff here and there in between, music, that kind of stuff, stories behind my music. But like getting into my like artistic, like creation, sharing it with other people bag might not happen until spring. And that's okay. In the meantime, what do I plan on doing? Resting, sleeping, hanging out with my family and friends. My mother had surgery in December. That's where I spent most of my time caretaking. I stayed with her for about a month to help her, and I'll just be spending more time with her as she's healing. I'll be spending time with myself. I'll be, eating good food, savoring my life, doing what my spirit feels called to do. So I don't want to put any parameters like, oh, I'm not going to show up until, I don't know. I might show up next week. Who knows? But as far as today goes, this is what I'm feeling. This is where I am. And I'm just grateful. I just thank you. If you have any questions, please ask them. I don't really know if I did all the things, talked about all the things. But yeah, if you have any questions about anything else you're curious about, please feel free to ask me. And I'll be letting you all know when I'm releasing the projects. In the meantime, in between time, I really want some prompts for writing. So I think what I want to do is like, I want you to ask me a question. I might not be able to answer every question. Let me start here. Okay. So if I don't answer a question, charge it to my head, not my heart. Okay. Not my heart. I am one person, but feel free to ask me a question. And maybe I can create something from that. It could be about anything, art, life, my opinions about something. Yeah. And share your thoughts as well. But yeah, I would love to do this. I want more connection. I want community. I want, this is what I want. And there are more things coming in the spring and summer, that will allow us to dive deeper into community and connection. Like I want to have there's a lot there. But anyway, I will talk to you all in the next video. This has been long enough. How are you doing? Okay. How is your winter going? I'm about to say your summer, but I meant your winter break for those who got a break. How is your winter going? How is your family? How are you doing? How is your art? If you're making art, how is your heart? What's going on? Let me know. But until then, I will talk to you all in the next one, wherever the next one is. Okay. I love you. Keep loving yourself. Keep showing up. Thank you. You are a big deal. Let me tell you something. If you don't feel like a big deal to nobody, like to understand you're a big deal to me. You're a big deal to me. Out of all the millions of people that are out there, you're here. Out of all the millions of videos or podcasts you can listen to, you're here. Like, you are a big deal. You are changing my life. Again, every viewer, every person that comments, shares, even people who criticize or dislike, thank you so much. You feel me? Because that's also engagement. People who bought my things, people who shared my things, people who just donated money, people who joined my Patreon or my membership or my Ko-Fi or coffee. I don't know how to pronounce that. People who donated to the sabbatical fund with Stephanie Perry, the Vicarian sabbatical fund. People who just spoke well of me in rooms that I was not in. Thank you. That's a big deal. Coming from the context of a person who's used to people talking about her behind her back in negative ways, this heals me. I be in live streams with people and I don't comment all the time. But I see people speaking kindly about me. And it's just like, yo, like, what did I deserve to do that? Like, what did I do to deserve that? You know what I mean? People's kindness. People have been so gracious and kind to me. And you all are one of the reasons why I keep going. And I mean that sincerely. Thank you so much. And I will talk to you all in the next one. All right? Now I'm going to go edit this so y'all can see this. And I'll be back with more stuff later. All right. I love you. Thank you so much. Much love, much joy. Laters.